Hi, friends. Prema here. So, I wanted to take a little bit of time today to give a short teaching and then guide an experiential exercise on a really important skill that is used quite often in trauma healing, and that's called orientation. Now, you may have heard of orientation before if you've been to a yoga class or a meditation class. Quite often at the end of class, they'll invite you to open your eyes and look around. And that is a way of orienting, because orienting means simply to come into connection with one's environment, to come into here and now. But even though it's a simple definition, it's actually, there's some really important nuances that I hope you'll understand by the end of my talk today. And you'll also gain some practical skills on how you can apply this in your daily living. So you may have noticed that, for instance, if you have a dog, when your dog goes from inside your house to the outside world, one of the first things that your dog does is it likes to stop, and its ears might perk up and it's listening, and then it might, sniff the environment and take a look around. All that is orienting. All that is your dog starting to check out, what's actually here right now? And for many of us, if we've been impacted, if our physiology has been impacted by trauma, our ability to orient accurately gets impacted. So instead of being in connection to the actual here and now, the actual presence of our environment, we may be stuck in what's known as hypervigilance. And that there's a pattern from our past that is running inside that is saying, oh, there's danger, there's danger, there's danger. And so our orientation is towards always scanning for danger. When we look, when we see what we're hearing, what we're noticing, or even our ability to notice is run from this program of there's something wrong, there's some danger out there. And that leads us to a state of hypervigilance. And then we lose connection, we lose relationship to our environment because we're not actually able to come into the here and now where there really actually might be safety. And then our nervous system doesn't get the really important input from our environment that we're actually in a safe place right now. So that's one way our nervous system can be stuck in a mode of hypervigilance and not able to accurately perceive the environment and therefore not being able to accurately orient. Another extreme is that our nervous system might be more in a little bit of a shutdown or dissociated place. And in that case, we're kind of numb to our environment. We may not notice so much what's happening around us. Perhaps your partner or your roommate or somebody makes some change in the house. Maybe they move a picture from one wall to another, or and then it might take weeks before you notice it. I've actually had that happen to me. So our nervous system, for a little bit more on that level, we may not be so connected to our environment. And we may be missing these cues of our environment. Yeah, we lose relationship to our environment in that way. So we can either be overly focused on looking at danger, or we may be a little bit numbed out or cut off from our environment and therefore not so present as well. In either of these instances, we oftentimes are not accurately able to perceive both threats when the actual threats are there, and we're actually not able to actually accurately able to perceive safety either. We're stuck in loops from the past. And so the skill of orienting, which is again bringing our awareness to the present moment, to the outside environment, is one of the antidotes to trauma. Because instead of having our awareness stuck on unhealthy loops inside of us, we may be ruminating on certain thoughts, or stuck in more of our mental to-do lists, or really focused on some sort of pain or discomfort in our body, or the many, many different ways that we can be stuck in certain internal patterns of being. Orientation, in a way, interrupts that pattern, interrupts that loop, because it makes us then come out into the world around us and get connected to our environment. And then we can notice from there that there's certain shifts that happen internally when we do that. And so I'm going to guide us in a few different examples of this, and maybe you'll notice some of those shifts for yourself. Okay. So there's 4 different channels of orientation that I will be guiding us in today. So you have an experiential taste of this process. We're going to we're going to experience orienting through sight, through sound, through smell, and through touch. Yeah. And you'll see which of these is most helpful for your nervous system to be able to come more into a greater sense of connection, more into a greater sense of being in accurate relationship to the world around you, to the environment around you. So let's begin. So for this first one, I'll invite you to come to a comfortable position, preferably sitting if that works for your body. And we'll just take a moment here, and then I'll invite you to let your eyes go where they'd like to go. Just letting your eyes look around. Your head may turn, your neck may turn. Yeah. Just letting your eyes explore and see the environment around you. And it may be in this exploration that there's a particular object or color, something that your eyes are more drawn to look at, something that's more pleasant to look at. And if that's the case, just letting yourself pause there and see that object, that color, that shape. And so as you're orienting through vision, let's take a moment now and notice what, if anything, happened internally. Did you take a deeper breath? Did your body posture shift in some way? Did something start to relax? Does your heart rate change? Just notice whatever it might be for you as you let your eyes orient to the space around you, checking out your internal somatic experience, the experience of your body. And then as you're ready, let's just bring our attention back out to the environment. Again, looking around. And what you're noticing internally, you may feel that you like, you may feel that you don't like it, it might feel neutral to you. All that is quite all right. Right now, we're just gathering information. So then orienting to your environment through sight, letting that go. And I'll invite you back to your screen. Yeah. So next, we're going to experiment with orienting through sound. And for this, it might be easier if you close your eyes. We tend to be more able to use our other senses if our eyes are closed, but you don't have to, whatever you prefer. And so now, if you're willing, I'd like to invite you to turn your attention to your outside environment, the environment around you, by listening. Maybe there's some sounds in the room that you're in, a buzzing of a machine or equipment. Maybe there's sounds from a room next door, somewhere close by. And maybe there's even sounds that are further away from outside the room that you're in, somewhere way off in the distance. Yeah, letting yourself orient to the environment around you through noticing sound. And as you do this, I'll invite you once again to check inside and see what, if anything, has shifted for you. Has your heart rate changed? Has any tension patterns in your body moved or shifted in any way? What's your internal sense of self as you let yourself orient to come out into connection with the environment through sound? And then noticing any subtle shifts that are happening internally with this. And then once again, just letting your attention go to the outside environment. And again, maybe you like what you noticed happening inside. Maybe it was pleasant, maybe it was unpleasant. Perhaps it was only neutral, and that's absolutely fine. And now letting orienting through sound go. Let's come back to the screen. And now we'll explore orienting through smell, through noticing the smells of our environment. And once again, this might be easier to do if your eyes are closed. It's really your choice. And now directing our attention to the smells that we can notice. Yeah. And you may be surprised. There might be scents that you notice now that you were not aware of previously. And then once again, I'll invite you to check out what happens inside. What's your somatic experience as your attention is brought to the outside environment through noticing smell? Do things feel like they've slowed down a bit or perhaps have sped up? Has your breathing changed in any way? Yeah, what subtle internal shifts in your state do you notice? And again, maybe they're pleasant, maybe they're not, maybe they're only neutral. But right now, it's just good information to get from our nervous systems. And then again, letting go of an internal awareness and just bringing your full attention back out to the environment through the sense of smell. And then once again, I'll invite you to let that one go. Maybe you want to give your body a little bit of a shake. I'm on an exercise ball, I'm just bouncing a little bit. Yeah. And now we'll go into our fourth channel of orientation, and that's through touch, our tactile awareness of what our body is in contact with in the environment. So, again, your eyes can be opened or closed. But I'll invite you to start to bring your awareness to the sensations of contact between your body and the world around you. Yeah. Perhaps noticing the sensations of your feet if they're on the ground or touching a couch or a bed. Noticing your hips and how they're supported by what you're sitting on. And even your hands, perhaps your hands are touching your lap or holding a cup of tea or water. Just noticing, what are your hands in contact with in the world around you? And just notice the quality of those sensations. Is there warmth or pressure, solidity? And as you're letting yourself orient through touch, again, I'll invite you to tune inwards for a moment and notice what happens in your somatic experience. Do your thoughts change? Do things slow down? Does your breathing change? What shifts do you notice? And again, these might be pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. And then once again, let's just shift from our inwards noticing back out to our environment, feeling again the contact of our feet, our hips, our back, hands, all those ways your body is in connection to the world around you, that physical connection. And just noticing those sensations. And now let's let that go. Yeah. And coming back to your screen. So now we've experienced 4 different ways to orient. Orienting through sight, through sound, through smell, and through touch. And so of those ways, which one gave you the most access to feeling present, to feeling connected to the here and now, the environment around you? Yeah. Which one was most supportive of your nervous system to come into connection to the here and now? And what happened when you did that? And so, whichever one was your preferred method, let's go back to that one more time. If it's sight, just letting your eyes start to again explore the room around you, allowing your head and neck to turn to really take in the room, all that's here. Perhaps settling on some sort of object that your eyes are particularly drawn to. If it's hearing, just letting yourself notice the sounds that are close by and sounds that are medium distance and the sounds that are further away. If it's smell, noticing all the smells in your environment. And if it's touch, letting yourself feel all those points of contact with the world, how you're being held up and supported physically by the world. And then as you're ready, again, noticing what happens on the inside as you make this shift. What changes in your breath or your thoughts, your awareness, your body? What happens? Noticing all the subtle little changes. Doesn't have to be big, huge things. And then once again, bringing your attention back out to the environment, back out into connection to the world around you. And then as you're ready, I'll invite you to let that go. And this exercise in orientation is a way to continually help our nervous system to come back to the here and now moment. Trauma keeps us stuck in the past. It keeps the influences of the past continuing to run and direct a lot of what is happening in our internal experience. And so, with orientation, here's a somatic skill that I would really invite you to take time out 5, 6, 7 times a day, a minute or two at a time, and just allowing your system to again orient to the present moment, to the here and now, and start to build that skill. It'll be a skill that you'll build over time, stronger and stronger, that allows you to be more here and more in your body and more in connection to the world around you. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I would love to hear if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me through my website, PremaMcKeever.com. And if you're watching this on YouTube, You're very much invited to write a comment below. What did you notice? If you have any questions about orienting, I'm happy to answer them there as well. So thank you very much, and I wish you a beautiful rest of your day. Bye for now.